What's up everybody? Matt here from CTM Customs. Check it out. I'm about to show you the baddest leisure travel van on the entire planet. Check out these wheels, custom powder coated. We did the Method wheels and we matched up the powder coat here. I don't know, I think you would have to agree that these are just the perfect color wheels for the LTV. All right, so now I'm gonna show you the main compartment. So any LTV 2025 or newer that has the Battleborn batteries and the 3000 watt inverter pre-installed, this will be a good upgrade for you because this Lithionics 630 amp hour battery goes right where the old Battleborns would sit. It's a pretty easy install. Also in this bay, you can see all the breakers. We have two solar controllers in here. We have one for the front solar panel array and one for the rear solar panel array. And then we also have the Orion TR, which we're using for the chassis battery maintainer. So if you leave your vehicle in storage and plugged in, that chassis battery maintainer can use the Lithionics battery to keep your chassis battery full. We also did an emergency jump start button that I'll show you in a minute. You can see the shunt on the back wall there. The shunt is tying in both of the 630 amp hour batteries, and you know that third 630 is pre-wired so that the battery monitor on the convenience panel, which I'll show you inside, you're able to get a good idea of what the state of charge of the batteries are, and then you can also see things like how many amps you're consuming with what you have on. In here, there's a little display that shows what each breaker is for. If you ever need to have the LTV serviced while you're away from us, we can give tech support very easily to try and work through whatever it is you're doing. So there it is, really nice. We like to call this the jewelry box. All right, in this side compartment, we built the second 630 amp hour battery in here. But we also prepped it for a third 630 amp hour battery. So we had to basically support and build a cradle for this bay to be able to hold two of those batteries and whatever else is put in there. So we overbuilt that compartment so that weight will never be an issue with this compartment. Still got to pay attention to your GVRW though. All right, now we're going to move inside the LTV and we're going to take a look at what we did on the inside. So in here, you'll notice the first thing that we see coming in the door is this convenience panel. So the convenience panel, why we call it that is because really, if you don't get this panel, none of this stuff will be inside the LTV. It'll all be in the inverter bay or the battery bays. So you can see here, you have your main and you have your inverter. So in the 2025s, this is what the big red switch in the battery box is. And then the inverter is the link between the battery and then the inverter. You have this Victron battery monitor. That's what the shunt is reading. So the nice thing about this is when he finally gets, if he decides to do the third battery, but at least over the first two batteries, this is showing the average of what everything is with both batteries without needing to look at both battery monitors in the app independently. You can see what both batteries are doing together. So you can see he's got a draw of 75 amps there. So in this LTV, we have the refrigerator on right now. We have the air conditioner on. We have every single light on. And so the solar is doing a little bit. We don't know what that is. We'll have to see it in a minute, but you can see here, it gives you an accurate reading of what your draw is. We're gonna go down here, see if we can find the percentage. So you can see the batteries are at 99.1%. That's the screen that users will probably use the most. So then you have your individual buttons here for the Lithionics batteries, battery 1, battery 2, battery 3. And then this is the inverter control panel. This is basically gives you Bluetooth access to your inverter should you ever need it. So if you are out camping, or if you need to do like an aggressive charge to the battery on these 2025s and up, Firefly controls the inverter. So Firefly will ramp the inverter charging up or down based on what it thinks you want. We give you this so that you can take control over your charging ability if you want something different than what Firefly is doing. Also, it allows you to make sure that all the parameters are correct inside the inverter, because it's hard to do the inverter setup when you don't have Bluetooth access. Yes, the inverter setup is available through this panel when it's not Bluetooth, but it's extremely difficult for a user that's not used to using things like this. So in the app, it's basically just a settings screen, and then you can go online and find our recommended settings and set the inverter to what our recommendation is if those settings were to ever get lost. All right, as we move in, we have the AC running on high. This is the Atmos AC. A lot of customers, even though they have the Truma, they're still picking to go with the Atmos. One, because it gets the air conditioner off of the Firefly, so that if you ever have a Firefly issue, Firefly ever crashes, you're not stuck you know, in the water with no AC. So another reason people do the Atmos is for the heat pump. It's a little more efficient, so it won't use as much battery, but it's actually, you know, the Truma actually does pretty well with battery consumption, but the main feature being getting it away from the Firefly, and then also that heat pump that works down to 23 degrees. So another thing that you'll see that we did in here is we upgraded to the MaxxAir Fan Deluxe. Power. And then here you have the ability to do air in or air out. Right now it's blowing air in on us. You can hit this button, switches to air out. You can adjust fan speed to 100%. You can go all the way down to a gentle breeze, which would be 10%. You can actually set the ambient air temperature. This remote is used as a thermostat, so wherever this remote is sitting is how it gauges the temperature. You get a remote for each fan, but any remote runs any fan. So here's the fan in the bathroom, same thing. We can turn that fan on, and you can have it blowing in or out. All right, so another really cool feature that we do on these LTVs is we have to get under these seats, or under this passenger seat, to do the DC to DC charger. And while we're in there, we started adding this emergency jump start switch. So this switch is used to connect the Lithionics battery to start the vehicle in the event that you accidentally drain your Mercedes battery and you can't start your Mercedes. So that way you're not stuck. So yeah, that's a really good no-brainer upgrade right there. And that is really easy to do when we're in there doing the DC to DC chargers under the seat. All right, so next up, let's check out all the upgrades that we did on the roof. The first thing you're gonna notice here is this little Baja Designs light. There's one on the front of the solar panel and one here on the corner. We put these all around the edge of the roof for a scene light. We call it a scene light because as you're boondocking and getting out into the middle of nowhere, you can turn these on and be able to see 360 degrees around your campsite. Also notice the Shadow Flux solar panels. We did 1,000 watts. It's actually like 960 watts with a 1,200 watt max. And yeah, so there's the got a little view of the MaxxAir Fan Deluxe. We did 2 of the MaxxAir Fan Deluxe fans, and we also did the you can see the Atmos AC up there. So more lights. You can see these are kind of on every corner. It's pretty cool. We use what's called the Garmin power switch. It works off of your mobile app, and it also works in Apple CarPlay to turn the lights on and off. And there in the corner on the left hand side, you can see the Starlink. We mounted the magnetic mount Starlink to the roof. So there you can see the front light that faces forward. So this is going to give you a really cool environment when you're out camping, because you can turn all these scene lights on, and you can actually, on the Garmin, you can adjust the brightness of the lights. You can make them strobe. You can put them on momentary switches. You have a lot of options with that Garmin power switch. Once we get inside to show you the Underglow, I'll show you how the Garmin app works. So yeah, super nice rooftop here. Next up is these, what we call the high mount tail light kit. So that little vertical LED light there, that's great for if you have stuff mounted on the rear of your LTV and you know, it obstructs the tail lights and the blinkers. We have the Wolfbox camera, the camera for the Wolfbox there. Get one more look at these MaxxAir Fan Deluxes. Super cool. Next up, just some more lighting. The customer actually brought these to us. We hadn't seen these before, but it's a really nice, really easy install. These front grill lights. So we'll make these available too. Again, Baja Designs, the amber light. Amber light is really good when you need it because it's easy on the eyes while you're driving. So the really bright white lights are kind of hard on your eyes at night if you have them on for a long time. So, you know, if you have options, you can use the grill lights combined with the amber. You know, really, depending on where you're at, you can do whatever you want. Lots of options. We did this little wheel set. These wheels are meant to basically protect the back of the LTV from dragging if you were to ever go into a area where the back is going to touch the ground. These are kind of sacrificial, so you may hit these hard enough that they really get damaged and almost like bend over, but the main point of them is if you don't need them, then you don't need them and they're just there. But if you ever get to the point to where you are going to have a hard hit, they will basically help you and they'll lift up the back of the RV and roll it through whatever the trouble spot is. But don't be surprised if you might have to replace one or two if they get hit too hard. But this is really meant to protect your exhaust here from the generator. And then on this side, you know, you have plumbing down here that you don't want getting damaged. Another cool thing that we did is we work with a local window tinter, and as the vehicle is here, we'll have him come in and tint the windows with ceramic coat window tint. All right, so check out this Underglow. So while you're camping, you have many colors that you can choose from. These lights will strobe, they'll breathe. You can do all different colors. There's an app that you can use, but you can also, it has a remote control. So now you can see how dark it is. Let's show you those Baja Designs lights and see how it'll light up the darkness. So now, as you're camping, if you pull into a dark campsite and you're off boondocking, you'll be able to see everywhere, all the way around you, because you have lights on all four corners. All right, so now we're inside the vehicle and I'm going to show you how to control the scene lights, the Baja Design lights that are on the solar panels from the head unit through Apple CarPlay. So this is the Garmin app, and then all the switches are right here on your screen, so you can see the light lighting up around me as I turn the lights on and lights off. So these switches are customizable. You can put your own icons on the switches. You can make them your own color. You can rename all the switches, and then you're just right back in your maps, if you're using your navigation. So no drilling in the dash for mounting other light switches. All right, so a couple things we did under the hood here is we did these hood struts so that when you raise the hood, the hood stays up all by itself. You don't have to use the rod to make it go up. And then also we did a horn. I don't think you're gonna be able to see it in there, but you can see it a little bit in the grill right there. It's a dual horn kit from Agile Off-Road. So instead of the little Mercedes horn, this sounds more like a proper horn of what you'd expect out of a vehicle of this size. All right, thank you for watching, guys. We had a lot of fun upgrading this 2025 leisure travel van. If you're interested in getting your RV upgraded with solar, lithium, any of the upgrades that you've seen in this video, the best thing to do is go to our website at ctmcustoms.com and go on the Request a Quote tab. That will send me a direct email from you and I'll respond to you. For more content like this, make sure you like, share, and subscribe. We'll see you on the next one.